Welcome back. In this video, we're going to go through cleaning up the audio for a podcast. So let's press start and search for Audacity or however you open applications on your computer. Yeah, so Audacity is the tool that we use in order to actually edit the podcast. This is a free program that you can get online. So let me open up the folder here and I'm going to throw it onto this side here and just pull in the files I need. So we've got the intro and raw. I want both of those files. So let's put those in. But then if I go back one, so Quasi Life podcast folder, if we have an intro and an outro or one of those two, we want to make sure that we've got this in sound as well. Okay, and I'll show you why that is in a second. All right, so now that we've got all of those sounds, let me throw that on that side and have the instructions on the other side. And we can go ahead and get started. So if there is an intro file or outro file, add them to the end of the podcast. Or in this case, if it's an intro, well, I should say here, end/start of the podcast. All right, so what we'll do is we'll drag this across so the intro is at the start. And then what we want to do is we want to grab this in sound here. All right, let me just pull that across here like that. And by the way, I'm using this tool here to move the audio files across and then control scrolling up and down in order to zoom in and out. And now basically what I want to do is I want the finish of this to sort of line up with this, this in sound. And then that's going to take us straight into the podcast. So let's have a listen to that. All right, onto the podcast. I just had this thought on my mind. That's good. I like that. It's very snappy. Finish the intro. The sound sort of drives us right into the podcast. So that's how you do that part. Now, we want to add bass and treble. And so what I'll do is I'll click on here to select that entire track and then go effects. And then we've got here bass and treble. And those values are 5 and 2.0. In fact, I'm going to change them now to 6 and 2.0. So 6 and 2.0. And then we click on apply. And that's done. Let's do it to this track as well. Effects, where is it? You could probably just click here, repeat, bass and treble. Yeah, there we go. Now amplify. So we want to amplify this and use the default. So we'll go effects, amplify, and then leave that default number and press OK. Same with this part here, effects, amplify, OK. Notice that we're not doing that to the in sound. We're going to leave this this audio file untouched. Okay, so next we've got the limiter. And basically with the limiter, we want to trim these tops of the audio file. I'll zoom out a little bit. Yeah, notice that we got these peaks of the audio file here. We just want to trim those a little bit. So if I click on there and then say effects, it's in plugin 1 to 15 on mine, and then limiter. Yeah, we probably want this value to be at about maybe 3, and then click on OK. And notice that it just chops the tops off there a little bit. All right, so we don't want it to chop it off too much, otherwise it makes it sound distorted. I just chop it off a little bit there. In fact, that was a little bit too much chopping off. So let's do that again, limiter. And this time I'm going to make it 2. There we go. There's no hard and fast rule here. Basically, you just don't want to chop too much off of those little peaks there, otherwise it sounds distorted. All right, and then when you've done that, you click on that track again, we say effects, amplify, and that's going to allow us to amplify the audio a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to zoom out a little bit, select this track, and do the exact same thing. Effects, we should have limiter here. Here we go. And I think about 3 for this one. 3. Give that a moment and see this part here. There we go. Notice that we chopped those little bits of the top up there, but it still looks like a pretty normal audio file. So now I can click on that, effects, amplify, OK. And there we go. This just allows us to make things a lot louder and removing those little short moments in the audio where it goes super, super loud. So we're just sort of chopping those bits off. All right, so limiter, that's done. Amplify, we did that. So we did the limiter and then we amplified it again. Now we want to select the silence at the end of the audio. Okay, so if I zoom in here to the end of the audio, I'm going to select a little bit of that silence. I always make sure there's silence at the end. And then we're going to go effects, noise reduction, get noise profile. Okay, so what this is doing is getting a profile of the silence there and we're going to use that profile to remove background noise. So now when I click on here, I can say Effects, Noise Reduction, the same thing again, and this time I'm going to press OK. So the first time we got the noise profile by clicking this button. The second time, once we've selected the whole audio file, we say OK. Yeah, so once again, it grabs a snapshot of this silence here, because, you know, sometimes you get like a bit of static and background noise. It takes a little snapshot of that silence and then removes it from the entire audio file. All right, so notice that if I press play here, you hear nothing, and that's good. It means it's gotten rid of that background noise. And I'll do the exact same thing here. We'll click there, and we'll say Effects, Noise Reduction, and then we'll just press OK. We've already got the noise profile, so we can press OK now. So let's just have a listen to this, the end part here, to check that that is actually quite silent. I'm going to mute that and mute that. There we go. Notice that it's virtually completely silent there, so that has worked. There we go. Let's have a listen from here. All right, onto the podcast. I just had this thought on my mind, and cool. I think that sounds really good. I'm happy with that. So now we've done the noise reduction. We want to cut the start and the end of the audio file. So if I go to the very the very end here. I should have zoomed out first. Now I'm just going to cut this little bit of the end off there, just the tail of the podcast. And if we go to the start, we don't need to do any cutting here. That's already starting straight away. But if there's cutting that needs to be done there, you can cut it. But just note that when you do cut the audio there, you might then need to realign these audio file parts in here. Cool. And that's it. We're done. We've edited this podcast. Well done. Now you can go File, Export as WAV. And we're in the wrong folder, so let me find the right folder here. I believe it was 37. Is that it? Yeah, that's the one. And I usually just call this edited. Like this. Edited. Save that. Click on OK. OK again. And there we go. That's going to go ahead and save it into the Dropbox folder. And we're done. So that's it. That's how you edit a podcast. Like I say here, you're done. Get yourself a celebratory cookie or whatever treat you would prefer. All right, I'll see you in the next video.